Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cover some APA. I know that none of you care, but at least Dr. Mouchepe does. Julia probably not so much, but that's okay. So we will get along much better if you remember that I am funny and there are actual jokes in this presentation. APA is really not very funny, but I do the best that I can. So we have some guest stars here by Wiley and Manchester United to help you understand APA. All right. So what APA is going to cover is the what, who, where, when, why, and how. And so you're using APA style to cover all of these things. Come on in, come on in. We have seats up here in the front. You only get charged donuts and coffee at a later date for being late.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I get donuts and coffee, so I'm all good with that. Okay? And we just started our presentation, so it's all good. All right. So we use APA because it's fun. Not really, but usually because you have to for whatever papers you're going to do or whatever dissertations you're overseeing. Right? And it does help for you not to get caught for plagiarism. So the first thing you have to pay attention to when you're doing APA is that it is how you set up the paper. So in general, APA has 1-inch margins unless specifically told otherwise. Like for example, when you submit a dissertation chairs, your students are supposed to have 1.5 inches on the left-hand side, and so that's for binding purposes. But in general, it's 1-inch margins. And so if you look through the handout that I have given you, you're going to see that I cover how to set up the paper. Right? All the things that you need for setting up the paper. Right? So as you're going to see here, you have where you're doing the spacing. Right? APA is double spaced. There's no single spacing in APA. Unless your professor or your dissertation chair says so, there's no single spacing. Everything is double spaced. Including, for those of you that are confused about this, would be indented quotes. These are also double spaced. Right? So you're going to set it up to double space and then leave it alone. There is no extra spacing. So a lot of students like to play with the spacing over here where you can do 0.6 or 0.10 afterwards. There is no such thing. It's double spacing. End of story. Right? Everything else is single. All right? APA uses a basic font of Times New Roman or Arial. 10-point is okay, especially if you wish to torture your professors because they probably can't read it. So you might want to switch it to 12-point font, but nothing over 12-point font. This means your headings as well. Nothing is over 12-point font. Every document has a header. Right? The headers go on the left-hand side, and the page numbers will go on the right-hand side. So you just would insert the header, and the header is in all caps. There is no page number on the first page of an APA paper. Right? The title page is all without a page number. So you're going to see that I'm telling you to select a different first page. So this will not put it on the first page. There will be no page number. So as I just told you, your header is left aligned, but your page number is on the right side, so it's right aligned. All caps, one to the left, one to the right. And so I'm giving you an example here. And of course we're using Manchester United, so if any of you are Real Madrid fans, too bad. All right? So as you'll see, Manchester United, all in caps, on the left-hand side, page number on the right. Technically, if you want to complain, my page number would be wrong since I have number 1 there, and it wouldn't be on the first page, it would be number 2, but this is just an example, not actually how it's supposed to look. Okay. Your title page. An APA paper always has a title page. Right? And this is basically how it looks. You have your running head, which is the first 5 to 10 words of the paper, right? And then your title of your paper, the authors, which is you or everybody in your group, and then you would have it, since you're at St. Thomas University, name and the date. Okay. Now, I recommend that you don't type the running head inside the header. You type it on the first line of the document because otherwise you have to insert section breaks, and Microsoft Word is sometimes unfun about section breaks. So you can get away by doing that. You just type it up at the top, and you do running head, and then type your header. All right, APA has 5 levels of headings. All right, the headings are here so that you separate your paper and make it more organized and easy to read. This is very simple stuff. Okay? Major headings are centered and bold. A major heading would be introduction, conclusion, references, methodology, things like that are major headings and are centered and bold. Your other headings are left aligned and bold. Okay. None of you are going to do anything more than a level 3 heading for your papers, and even most dissertations do not get past level 3 headings. Okay. So the level 3 heading would be on the left-hand side, bold and indented, the period, and then the writing comes right after that period. So here's an example of how it would look. Right? All 5 headings actually use an example. You have your literature review, which would be your major heading, centered and bold. Psychology personality, that's left aligned. Then Freud would be a designation under it. And then you would have the other subheadings. Okay, when you're dealing with numbers in APA, right, as you're going to see, numbers 0 through 9. You express as words. Numbers 10 and above, you express as numbers. There are no exceptions to this. Well, I shouldn't say no exceptions. There is one exception, is that you do not start a sentence with a number. So if it was 10 students came to the APA session, I would write out the word 10, not write the number 10. Right? That is the only exception to the rule. Otherwise, it is always like this. Okay, so some little fun, again, as you do numbers. Right, so when you're doing percentages, you write it out, 66%. So you would not write out the word 66% unless they started the sentence. Okay, it's always 66%. Right? So if you have a child and your child is going to school, you're going to see examples of here how you would write 5th grade, right? 1/3. Right, so you would not write 1/3 as 1/3, you write it out. Or 2/3 majority for those of you that might be doing voting or running for student government. Right? So as I've already told you, you use what? Oh, you had a look on your face. You use words to express any number beginning a sentence. So here you go is my example. Again, 10 students showed up for the presentation, not the number 10, and then presentation. Language. So you want to choose as much unbiased language in APA style as you possibly can. Okay. So when you are talking about something, you're going to avoid using masculine such as he or man to refer to everyone in all genders. Right. So if I want to say he went to class, what I meant she or he, I'd rather say the student went to class. Right. So that you're keeping it gender neutral. You want to be as gender neutral as possible. Okay. So I'm giving you examples about addressing lesbians, gay men, bisexual men are preferable to homosexual. Okay. So you're going to give the type specifically. And then you capitalize anything that is an ethnic group. It's preferable that you use active tense. So I'm giving you an example. Of course, it's always about Manchester United, in case you haven't figured this out yet. So, 100 people cheered Manchester United at the King's Head pub. Right, that's happens to be my local pub, and there's never 100 people there cheering them, but it's a preferable sentence to Manchester United was cheered by 100 people. So one is more active than the other. Right? So we're not using the verb to be. So when you're writing your dissertation and you're overseeing your dissertation chairs, you want to ensure that they're using as much active tense as possible. It's not always possible to write everything in active tense, and sometimes you just can't get your head wrapped around it, but it's as much active tense as possible. Did you have a question, John? No? Okay. So in addition to this handout, the library always provides you with an APA guide. Right? And you'll find it right off the main page under Research and Citation Guides. And then we have a nice little cheat sheet here. And so if you're just writing a paper for class, for Dr. Ferrero's comm class, you can probably get away with just the cheat sheet. It covers an example of how you can do just about every reference. And you'll notice up at the top, it covers the formatting of the paper. Right? The handout I gave you shows you how to actually do the formatting, but this covers the formatting as well. And it covers quotes and indentation quotes, all of that fun stuff. Documentation of sources. It's a one-page little fun cheat sheet, and it's very useful. If you are actually getting your master's degree, you should own the APA manual. It's not expensive. It's like $30. Get it on Amazon, because you want to have it. I have multiple copies of it, believe it or not. I have at least 2 at home and sometimes 2 or 3 in my office, because I have a work-study student who can't seem to keep my office organized, and so I'm never able to find the APA manual I want, so I have multiple copies. One of them is right here, which I'm sure will get lost later. All right. Something that almost every student does, no matter how many times I tell them at the first presentation, including doctoral dissertation students, and you cannot begin to understand how upset I am to get a dissertation with first or second person in the language. Right? There is no first or second person. APA does not care at all what you think. Not ever. Never, ever, ever does APA care what you think. You under no circumstances write, I think that Manchester United is the best team in the world. It's Manchester United is the best team in the world. End of story. Right? It is your opinion because your opinion is documented because your name is on the paper or the dissertation. So we already know it's your opinion. Right? You are basing your opinion on research. There is no second person. You should go to church. No, you should not go to church. It's go to church. All students go to church. Not you should go to church. One way or the other. Right? No first or second person. This covers we. We are not going to church. Everyone is going to church. Third person. Okay? There's no ambiguity here. All right. As I just said, APA doesn't care what you think in any way, shape, or form. You are always backing up your opinion by research. Always, always, always. Always. And again, I can't guarantee that you will follow this, but you absolutely may not write in first or second person. I cannot reiterate this enough. As I've already told you, all APA papers are based on research. So you are going to find research to document and support anything you write. So I'm providing you an example right here, right, of what not to do. As I've already told you, I believe Manchester United is the best club in the world. This is not how you would write this. You would write it, Manchester United is the greatest club on earth. And then you would support it by other people who have said this research as well in articles. Always, always, always it's supported by research. Okay, references. As I've told you, APA is always about the research. You will have references. You will have a reference list. The reference list is alphabetical in order by the author's last name. Everything on your reference list must be cited in the paper. Okay? There is no ambiguity here unless you are writing a dissertation, and then probably there still is not any ambiguity. Right? Everything that's on the reference list is cited in your paper. If you have something cited in your paper, it's on your reference list. The first thing I check when you give me a dissertation or you give me a paper is what's on the reference list and is it in the paper, and then I cross-check what's cited in the paper, is it on the reference list. Your references are double-spaced with a hanging indent, unless your professor says otherwise. Right? If your professor wants to change up the formatting a little bit because they think it looks prettier, your professor's the one giving you the grade. Right? Just make sure that you check. Only the first word in the title is capitalized unless the word is a proper noun. And I'm going to show you some examples. No first names are ever used. In APA style, we do not want to see your first name. Not ever. Not on the reference list, and we prefer it not to be in your paper. Unless you are doing some sort of qualitative study where you have interviews, and then that might be acceptable. That would be acceptable if you're going to say that Julia thought that Carlos looked really great in his black STU work shirt. I don't know. Right? That might be fine. Otherwise, there are no first names. The reason there are no first names is to reduce bias. People do not like to read things that are written by women. Some women do not like to read things that are written by men. People are weird. So in order to reduce the bias of the research, we eliminate first names. So you do not know if Treadwell is a woman or a man based upon my last name. Right? And my first initial doesn't give it away either. L could be Larry or L could be Lauren. Okay? No first names. Publication titles are italicized. Okay. So, in general, there are no exceptions to these rules. As we all know in life, there is always an exception to every rule, but generally speaking, for anything that you're doing, there are no exceptions to the rules. As I told you earlier, if you had some personal correspondence, that would be an exception. So that would be listed in your paper and cited in your paper, but would not be included on your reference list because it is not reproducible. I, as the reader, cannot go and find the letter that you wrote to Carlos and told him how great he looked in his black shirt. Right? I will only have to be able to see that Carlos looked great in the black shirt and base it on your paper. Okay. Unless it's an archived document, then that's different. So as I said, there's even exceptions to exceptions. So on your handout, you're going to have a list of references, things that are here. So you're going to notice things when you look. As you look at my reference list, you look at the very first one, Armstrong, right? You'll notice there are no first names, first initials only. Only the first word is capitalized. Right? If you look down at the next one, Manchester United, you're going to see everything is going in alphabetical order by author. In this case, Manchester United is the author. I Am United happens to be, well, the Man United website. Okay? When you look at Rowley, you're going to see a little bit of something different. Right? Brand and Club Alliances, the first word of the title is capitalized, but then you're going to see Manchester United, proper noun. Right? So that's why it's capitalized. Although it would be capitalized no matter what came after it because alliance, there's punctuation there. You're going to see the colon. So anything that comes after the punctuation. Okay. The titles of publications are italicized. So you're going to see the publication, Management Research News. That is italicized. For whatever silly reason, APA also wants the volume number italicized. I don't know why this is. Don't ask me. I wasn't invited to the APA conference to set this up. It's just the way that it is. There are rules. Okay? My girlfriend's told me I'm going out for her dinner on Friday night. That's just the rule. Okay? I don't ask questions. I just do it. Okay. So you're going to see as you look through here that, again, European Journal of Information Systems, you're going to see that the title of the journal is capitalized and then also the volume number. The issue number is not. Again, don't ask me why. I don't know. I wasn't invited. Okay? So, any questions on looking at the references? As things are pointed out, that you're going to see anything that's dissimilar? For those of you that are David Beckham fans, you'll see I put him in there so that you can see again proper nouns. You're a David Beckham fan or you have a question?
Yes. Do you have, sorry I missed that, do you have a link that I could put it in the website for my course, for the students? Like,
For this handout?
Yes.
I do not. This is my handout. I do not provide a link to it. I do provide a link to the APA
The cheat sheet that you mentioned?
Do the cheat sheet. And there is a link on the website to, I have a brief tutorial where you can listen to me speak in shorter format on
Okay.
APA as well. So
I
it's
can
under the
provide that
tutorial.
link
You
to,
can do that.
To the students, so the cheat sheet, and because they have the book as a required,
Right.
so.
And then they can watch my brief 5-minute
The link
tutorial.
is here, right? The link for the cheat sheet?
The cheat sheet, yes, it's there, and it's right on the library's website. So if you go to the main page, right through the handout, I show you exactly where it is, and then it's going to be, it's right there. So I do provide it for you.
That's great.
And as I said, there's also a tutorial, and you are welcome to contact me if you can't find the tutorial on the library's page, but we do have a whole list of tutorials, how to do ILL, how to do APA, how to do research in ProQuest, everything.
That would be great.
So there is a whole tutorial page, and there's links there.
Okay, thank you.
And then if you look on my handout, I'm giving you my contact information, so if you have any questions, you're welcome to send me an email as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, did I go too far? All right, this is where we want to be. All right, so everything that's on your reference page has to be cited in the paper. APA is author date, so you're going to see that I'm providing you examples, right? Everything here, it would be Shaw and then the date inside parentheses. The easiest way to do this is to not be clever about it and put it at the end of the sentence. It is not always stylistically the best way, but if you are a student and you do not know how to write well, if you put the citation at the end of the sentence, you will not get it wrong. If you put it in the middle of the sentence and don't do it correctly, you will get it wrong. And then your professor will be upset, turn it in, or whatever plagiarism catcher we have will be upset. If you are doing a direct citation, you must provide a page number. So a direct quote. You want to quote me about Carlos's black shirt, then you would give a page number. Or you provide a paragraph number. So if you're getting it directly from the internet and there are no page numbers, it's a paragraph number. And you'll see the example right there, PARA. Okay. And then whatever, and you just count the paragraphs. Okay. You'll have to do that. Now, if you're using statistics, you must provide a page or paragraph number each and every time. Okay? Because we like to make sure that you did not abuse the statistics. And so this way the researcher can go back and figure out what it was that you actually said. Was it actually 66% that showed up, or did something else happen? Okay? You may use more than one reference to support an idea. Your citations then go in alphabetical order. So you'll see what I've done is I provided you an example and I put them in alphabetical order. Now, there are multiple ways that you can do this. So I have taken the fun page from the APA manual, and I have scanned it in there for you. I would love to know where this manual is, but I think I mentioned earlier that I have a work study student that has lost this manual. And so some of my fun little tabs that you see are not available anymore. But there are a variety of ways to do things. Right? The first time you cite an author, you must cite all the authors, unless it's 6 authors or more. And then after that, you may use et al. Okay? But the first time, you must do this. Right? Until you get to 6 authors. So you're going to see 1 through 5, everything. Right? 2, if it's 2 authors, it's always the 2 authors. Once you get to 3, you may use et al. After the first cite. But you must always provide all the authors first time. You will also see a variety of examples of how to do the citation stylistically. Right? I told you that you can put it at the end of the sentence and you will always be right. And you will, but it's not always the best way to write a sentence. Yes, Joan?
If you have 3 or more authors, but they're not in alphabetical order on the book, do you put them alphabetically?
No, not in any, never, never, ever. Not in MLA, not in APA, not in Chicago. You leave the author order as published. Okay? It's what you're doing when you're providing more than one site reference for a citation. You do not ever mess with author order. Right? Any other questions?
Yes. At the top, we have the rules about subsequent citations in text,
Mm-hmm.
etc. We are to follow those exactly? For example, one work by two authors. So when can I use the and first and instead of the word and?
I'm not sure I understand your question. So here, within the citation, Walker and Allen, or,
In the text, and then, right?
right, Walker and Allen in the text. The ampersand, you don't use the ampersand when typing it in text.
Okay.
It would be the ampersand is when you put it at the end of the sentence.
Okay.
So Carlos believes all communication professionals should wear black shirts when recording events, right? And then you would do Ferrero and Diazzo with the ampersand inside parentheses,
Okay.
2016, and then put a period.
Okay.
If it was going to be within the text and you were going to say Diazza and Ferrero believe that everybody should use black shirts, then that would be with the and, right? And then at the end of the sentence you could use the date, or if you were direct quoting it, it would be 2016, comma, P period 16, close the parentheses, and then period. So it has to do with how you're using it within the text. We clear?
Yes.
Perfect.
Larry, is that somewhere that we can see it?
It is in the APA manual,
The one that
right?
you just.
The one that I have provided for you. Okay. And so it's in the APA manual. I think I put the page number there, but again, if not, I have lots of APA manuals. You can come by my office, and if my work study student is there, she can photocopy the page for you. Maybe. Okay. APA in general does not use footnotes. Okay? We don't like footnotes in APA. You want to use footnotes, use Chicago, or use MLA, not APA. You can, just don't. It's not a good idea. You should be writing everything in the text, not providing additional citations outside the text. So do not use footnotes. All right. APA, I think, is the easiest citation style to use. Right? There are simple rules for it, and you can use this at any time. If you have questions about APA, you want your papers checked, you want to have your dissertation students see me so that I can make them cry before they turn it in, I'm happy to do that. This is my contact information. Right? If you wish to contact me, come by my office personally or email me. Do not call my office phone. I'm not in my office very often, and I don't like my phone. So send me an email. All right? If you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. Yes?
You first talked about the 1.5 inch for binding.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend with the dissertation to just create the paper with that indentation now before it even gets...
They're writing their dissertation now?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it now. That's in the dissertation manual. They should absolutely be writing it and following the dissertation manual, because otherwise they're going to have to readjust it. So if they write it at 1 inch margins now, and then when they give it to me and I look at it, the first thing I'm going to tell them is to change it, and then every single page number changes after page 1. So it messes up their table of contents and everything else, and their formatting and all kinds of fun stuff. So if they're already working on the dissertation, they should be following the dissertation manual without exception. Anybody else have a question? Yes? You can ask as many questions as you want. I'm here to pontificate.
The running head, you suggested to write it on the first line? Can
Mm-hmm.
you explain why?
Because otherwise you have to insert section breaks. And if you don't insert the section break correctly, Microsoft Word will just mess up your entire paper. Right? And then you'll have multiple sections running. And so this way it'll look the same, only you won't have to play with section breaks. So,
And does that include the page number too, or we should put
there's
the
no page number on the first page.
Well,
There's no page number on the
right,
first
but
page.
subsequent pages have pages.
Right, and then you've put your header in the header. So that solves that problem. Just in APA has running head on the title page.
Oh, so this is in reference to the title page.
In the
right?
title page.
Okay.
That's where the running head is, on the title page. The rest of it is the header. And in the header, you put whatever's in the header, however it is that's supposed to, whatever it's supposed to say, it's all in caps, the same as the running head, just put it in the header and then select different page.
Okay.
But running head, if you do it on its own line, you don't have to insert section breaks.
Okay.
Stay away from section breaks unless you have no choice. Yeah, go ahead, ask more questions, don't be shy.
The citing my own opinion.
You can't cite your own opinion.
Just want to make sure because
Unless you are
I've published
already
something.
published.
Exactly.
Then you cite your own opinion, absolutely. You can self-plagiarize, so do not do that. So if your opinion is that you think students should wear blue STU shirts,
Right.
right? There is no you think. It's students should wear blue shirts and you find research to support that.
One professor of mine said we could write, the writer
Never.
suggests.
Absolutely not. That is extremely poor writing.
Okay, just
Right.
one.
There is almost no reason you should do that. Perhaps within the methodology, there might be the way you set up your research, you may not be able to get away from it within that chapter for 1 or 2 sentences, but absolutely it is poor writing to do the writer. This author thinks, absolutely not. If you give me a dissertation with that, I'm going to highlight it, circle it, and I'm going to send it back to you, and you'll be spending days trying to fix every sentence.
You can say this study or this.
This study utilized students in blue STU shirts, not this writer used students in blue STU shirts.
Okay. Some citations, like through ProQuest, when I hit cite, it
Mhm.
will have the 2 initials of the, like the first and the middle name.
Okay?
That's fine?
Yeah, absolutely. Like how I was published, so, or how she was published, or, yeah,
Okay. We should never change it?
never.
Okay,
Only change it if it comes with first names.
okay. And I found like PowerPoints online with data and, like statistical
Mm-hmm.
percentages. And the PowerPoints have page numbers, but what if when I submit my dissertation that online link doesn't work or you can't find it, what's gonna happen?
Okay, and you better hope it works when I get it.
Okay.
I'm serious, so I will check every link when I get a dissertation to make sure that it works, because more times than not, it's been cited incorrectly, and I'm trying to verify the citations. So that's one of the things that I do when I'm looking through the references. So if you have a link and it doesn't work, then how do I know that that's real information? So I'm going to send it back to you. It's, it may be that you just didn't get the URL correctly. It may be that it's dead, but you better look at that and make sure.
Right.
Okay, suppose you have a printout of whatever you read from that link, but the link doesn't work anymore, but you still have your document supporting where you got that from.
Do you want me to answer that truthfully?
Yeah, because that's happening to me.
Are you publishing a dissertation?
Yeah.
If you're publishing a dissertation or you're publishing a book, how does the publisher verify the veracity of your information? So if you only have a printout of something that you got, I cannot verify that information. And so you must remove it.
Okay, even if the printout has the URL from
I can't verify it. So if you're putting it in your dissertation, you're putting in information that is not verifiable. So if you must make sure that it's verifiable. Okay? Now, if it dies after you published it, links disappear. But before you publish it, before you publish your work, so if you send something to the Harvard Business Review and they can't verify your information, they're not going to publish that article, or they're going to make you take out that research so that they can publish it, because then they're liable for it.
Can you print it though?
No, it's got to be verifiable. So you must have a verifiable, printable item. I'm sorry, non-printable item. So if you're providing a link to something online, it must be verifiable at the time of publication. Okay. After publication, people go out of businesses, journals have died or been morphed into other names. And that's fine, but until it's published, it has to be verifiable. Any other questions? Bye.